For those of you who are thinking about entering the world of two wheels, or even for those who already ride a motorcycle but are planning to buy your first brand new motorcycle or your second brand new motorcycle at a more affordable price. Today I'm going to show you a list of really interesting motorcycles that cost up to 25,000 Rs and are worth it. Now, in 2025, I'm Amanda Pagliari. This is the most charming motorcycle channel in Brazil, and today I'm going to show you a list of some brand new motorcycles that cost around 25,000 Rs, actually below 25,000 Reais. So go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos, okay? In fact, if you leave a lot of likes on this video and share it a lot, I'll make a similar list, but with used motorcycles, pre-owned ones, for those who have the same budget. 1,000 Reais to invest and want a motorcycle, maybe even a slightly better one, or from a higher category. So I'm counting on your like and sharing. And the first recommendation is the Bajaj Dominar 250. In case you don't know Bajaj, it's an Indian brand that has been in the market for 80 years and is present in more than 100 countries. Brazil is one of its main markets at the moment, where the brand arrived in 2022 and last year it opened its own factory in Manaus, the first one outside India. Now that you know a little about Bajaj, let's talk about the Dominar 250. This motorcycle was launched here last year in 2024 and stands out in several aspects. The main highlight is its price, which is currently 23,000 Reais, and that's practically the same as lower displacement motorcycles, which we'll see later on in the video. Another point that really stands out on the Dominar 250 is its power. It comes with an engine that reaches 27 horsepower and 2.3 kgfm of torque. Just so you have an idea, the CB300F from Honda, which is a bike people are more familiar with, has a maximum power of 24.7 horsepower and 2.6 kgfm of torque. In other words, the Dominar loses a little bit in terms of torque and weight, but on the other hand, it has 3 more horsepower. Even though it has 50 cc less, it's interesting. The Dominar is still quite well equipped. It's just as well equipped as the Honda 300F with ABS brakes on both wheels, a 6-speed gearbox, and an inverted front suspension, which is quite rare in this category. And its main disadvantage is that even though the stores are growing really fast here in our country, right, the number of dealerships is still way below brands like Honda, which is the biggest of all, and also Yamaha. So if you live far from the big cities, this can be a bit of a problem, but Bajaj is expanding, In fact, the Carrera Group has stores in Manaus, Brasilia, and opened its first one in São Paulo, and it's expanding more and more. So if you want to get to know Bajaj better, take a test ride or even look into a consortium plan, my tip is to go to one of the Carrera Bajaj stores. Because subscribers here on the channel have advantages like special financing, they accept used bikes as part of the payment, and even offer installment plans on credit cards. You even earn some miles, look how great that is. Phone number and address are on the screen, and in the description of this video there's a full review video of the Dominar 250. I'll leave the link here in the card and also in the description, so go watch it later. The second bike on the list is the XRE 190 from Honda. It's a trail bike for those who want a motorcycle for both dirt roads and city use. It's more comfortable, even for taller riders or those using it in the city, especially if we take into consideration the condition of the asphalt here in Brazil. And it has a suspension with a longer travel, which ends up helping both on bumpy roads and off-road. Then there are people who are going to ask me,
Mandinha, why didn't you mention the CB300, the CB300F, which has a bigger engine than the XRE 190 and is listed for 24,000 Rs on Honda's website?
So, what happens is that the price on the website is the suggested price, and it doesn't include shipping or the dealership's markup. Even if the dealerships don't add a very high markup, once you include shipping, taxes, and everything else, it's still going to be over 25,000 Rs, which is our limit. So the price doesn't match reality. There's no point in showing a nice price here if it doesn't work in real life, right? Actually, it's costing around 30,000 Rs at dealerships. Comment down below how much the CB300F is costing in your city. But going back to talking about the XRE 190 today, it's one of Honda's best value bikes. Since, even though it has an engine with better performance than the 160, right, the engine is actually derived from the 160. The extra 30 cubic centimeters along with about 2 more horsepower, yeah, give it an advantage. And it manages to give the engine a little more leeway, especially when overtaking and with a passenger. It comes with full LED lighting, ABS brakes in the front, all of this costing around 24,000 Rs depending on the version you choose. I know that's not a small amount of money, but remember I said it's a great value. Yeah, guys, that's mainly because the Bros 160, which is also a very good bike but a bit weaker, is costing almost the same amount with only about 1,000 Rs difference, right? I tested both and I can say that with a passenger and on the road, the XRE 190 stands out, both compared to the Bros and the Cross, so in my opinion, the 190 from Honda is the best. There's a full review video with the pros and cons of the XRE 190. I'll leave the link up in the card and also in the description, so go watch it later, okay? But now, if you've already decided I want a 190, but I don't want it to be a trail bike, I want one with a sportier look. The only option in the Brazilian market that can meet your needs is the newly launched Dafra NHX 190. This motorcycle arrived here in Brazil at the end of last year and is costing around 21,000 Rs, including shipping, which is a very interesting price for its category. But before I continue showing its features, here's a warning, right? Although the NHX is actually manufactured by the brand, yes, which is very respected outside of Brazil, we need to be careful because this motorcycle is assembled and sold here by Dafra. It's nothing against Dafra, okay, quite the opposite. Here on the channel, I always support new brands, right? New motorcycle options, but we know that many people have problems with replacement parts and also after-sales service, okay? That said, let's move on, okay? Keep that in mind. The NHX has a very modern look and features full LED lighting as well as ABS on both wheels, which is a great point when it comes to safety. And the engine that equips the NHX 190 here has 18 horsepower, 2 more than Honda's 190. So one very interesting thing is that it comes with 6 gears, which brings more comfort, especially on the highway when you're really pushing the bike. But I want to know your opinion, write in the comments. Would you own an NHX 190? To learn more about the model, click the link in the description, or actually in the description or here on the card, because I did a full review of it. Dafra also has another 190cc motorcycle option. Actually, the NH190 came first, right? And the NHX is based on the NH190. They're like sisters, right? It's just that one is a trail and the other is a street. And the NH is very successful in our country, being Dafra's best-selling model. People really liked it a lot. They also share the same engine, so we have a peak of 18 horsepower, and the NH is Dafra's best-selling model. So we can see that Brazilians really like this bike. It's an absolute success. So I found something really interesting. We have the street option and also the trail for those who want it. It also comes, of course, with full LED lighting, 6 speeds, and you can find it in stores for around 22,000 reais. But of course, remember, right? The warning for you, the same warning I gave for the NHX, also applies to the NH regarding after sales and everything else. To the video of both the NHX 190 and also the NH 190 with a very complete review, right? With the pros and cons, link here in the card and in the description too. For the next one on the list, I decided to choose a Yamaha, and it could be the FZ25 since it's an excellent bike and has an engine that's been proven for 20 years, right? The same tired but proven engine they've used for 20 years. But in this case, with the FZ25, the same thing happens as with the 300F from Honda. In the catalog on the website, it's listed below 25,000 reais, but when we add shipping and everything else, right? Then it goes over our budget, our spending limit. So instead of it, I decided to put the R15, which even though it's a 155cc, it has performance that's really close to the FZ25, right? Which is the 250. This happens because the R15 was designed as a mini sport bike, and that's why it has a much higher revving engine. And it even has liquid cooling. Not to mention the VVA, which is a variable valve actuation system that gives the engine a bit more power and agility. As a result, it produces 18.8 horsepower at its peak, which makes it a 155 that's more powerful than all the 160 and 190 models we have in Brazil. The R15 is the ideal bike for those who want to get into the world of sport bikes, but don't want to spend too much, since in stores it costs around 24,000 Rs, right? Sure, when I mention R15 prices, it's just an average. They vary by region, and the R3 is definitely much more expensive, including the Ninja 300 from Kawasaki as well. The thing you need to keep an eye on with the R15 is that its maintenance is a little more expensive than a regular 150. That's because its engine has more advanced technology. So since it has these higher quality components, some of its parts end up being a little more expensive. But it's not all the parts, okay? And for the parts that are more expensive, it's not like, oh my God, that's outrageous, okay? It's just compared to the more common bikes that we know, all right? Just so you know, it's not like a 150 such as a factor. But now, if you're the type who really doesn't like fared bikes, who can't handle riding in a leaned forward position, right? And if you still insist on having a Yamaha motorcycle, I recommend you go for the FZ15, which costs on average 22,000 Rs at Yamaha dealerships. This bike is the little sister of the FZ25, but with a 150cc engine, right, shared with the factor and everything else. So, it's a very robust bike, well equipped. It has the look of a big motorcycle, but it comes with a 150cc engine, okay? But don't be fooled, okay? Unlike the R15, the FZ15 has a much simpler engine. It's the same as the Factor, so it's going to produce about 12 horsepower, right? 12 horsepower, and then you decide, okay? I did a review of the R15, the FZ15, and the FZ25. I made sure to include the pros and cons. The link is here in the description. Go watch it later. Now, for those who don't like fared bikes but still want to stand out on a ride, spending less than 25,000 Rs, I recommend the Haojue DR160, one of the most beautiful and complete bikes in its category. Haojue is a Chinese brand that's known by a lot of people, even if they don't realize it. What do you mean, Mandinha? Explain that. How come I don't know Haojue bikes? I've never heard of them. Calm down, I'll explain it to you. Do you remember the Suzuki Intruder and the Suzuki S, which were really popular here in Brazil about 10 or 15 years ago? Well, actually, those bikes were manufactured by Haojue. It's just that Haojue and Suzuki have had a long-standing partnership abroad since the 1990s. Suzuki kind of outsourced the production of their low-displacement bikes to Haojue, so much so that here in Brazil, the brand is still called Suzuki Haojue, and both are sold at the same dealership. And in some countries, Haojue bikes are still sold only as Suzuki, right? People just change the sticker, right? And the paperwork, of course. Well, now that you know that, and considering the good track record of Suzuki's low-displacement bikes in the past, you must have realized that these are probably high-quality bikes, very durable, and in my opinion, they're really good, okay? The DR160 is the flagship. However, I think the best-selling one is one of the best low-displacement bikes from Suzuki because it has a really bold design. When you see it in person, you never think it's just a 160. Its lighting is full LED and it also comes with DRL. And it comes with an anti-theft coated key, upside-down front fork, which adds a special charm, right? That fork is really beautiful. It comes with disc brakes on both wheels, backlit grips, and a CBS system. Unfortunately, they didn't include ABS, at least on the front. Isn't that right, Anna Haojue? Now, talking about the engine of the DR160, it has a maximum of 15 horsepower and 1.3 kilogram force meters of torque. It's nothing extraordinary, but it's within the average for the category. And this Mini Naked costs around 21 to 22,000 Rs at Suzuki Haojue dealerships. And the main factor that might influence your choice is probably the replacement parts, okay? Not just the wait time, but also the price, which is a bit expensive. So it's worth getting informed before you buy so you don't get into trouble. If you own a Haojue, write your experience down below. These recommendations and others I left in the full review with the positive and negative points of the DR160. Take a look at the card and also at the link in the description. Another interesting option for a Chinese motorcycle that we have on the market is the Shineray 250F, which was launched at the end of last year. The 250F has a suggested retail price of 22,590 Rs, And if you're lucky enough to live near a Shineray factory-owned dealership, that's exactly the amount you'll pay for it, okay? Even the shipping fee isn't charged at this type of brand dealership. And actually, there are some Shineray dealerships that are even charging way above the suggested price. But here's a heads up. The 250 was launched very recently, so we don't know yet about possible issues, right? Is the engine going to be durable? Will the parts fall apart along the way? Is the 250F any good? Well, only time will tell. Since in the past, unfortunately, the brand doesn't really have a good track record when it comes to that, after-sales service and durable parts. Besides, we never know when the motorcycle will be discontinued, right? The Worker was launched not long ago, and after many complaints about the lack of parts in the owners' forums, Shineray took the Worker off the market. In other words, whoever bought it got screwed because the resale value was already bad, right? And now that it's been discontinued and there are no parts, the person really got screwed big time. I also know someone who had problems with their 250F, and Shineray even replaced the bike without saying what the problem was. But you know how it is, right? There must be people who are happy with their Shineray. If you're a happy Shineray owner, let me know in the comments because I want to hear your opinion. Well, everyone, the 250 stands out for being a very well-equipped bike, okay? It's a bike that has ABS on both wheels, a USB port for charging your phone, inverted front suspension, and the engine stands out because it's 250cc with a maximum power of 27.9 horsepower. It's actually more powerful than the Honda 300F, right? Losing just a little bit in torque. And even if you don't like it, you can't deny that the look of the 250F really stands out wherever it goes, right? Mainly because of its really bold front, and it also has full LED lighting, including the turn signals. Unfortunately, there's no review video of it here on the channel because Shineray never replied to my messages, right? Not by email, WhatsApp, or Instagram. Are they afraid of Amandinha's honest reviews? I don't know. Here on the Motoplay channel, when I do a full review with the pros and cons, I'm always impartial and I never sit on the fence. You can trust me. If you like the video, leave a like and share it with your friends. Leave suggestions for other lists down below in the comments and I'll bring them to you. If you think I missed any motorcycle under 25,000 raised brand new in the video, write it down here below. Who knows, maybe I'll make a part 2. Also comment which motorcycles you want to see in the video I'm going to make about used and nearly new bikes up to 25,000 Rs. Write your favorite here. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet. Up here I left a really cool video for you, and down here I left another one that I'm sure you'll like. If you want to become a member here on the Motoplay channel, become a member because you only get benefits. Exclusive content before anyone else, wallpapers, Amandinha's calendar, and much more. See you next time. Moto Kiss.